Get strong.
Alli, I'm so excited to be talking with you today because I love anything about standing strong and operating in your power. And girl, that is so what you're about. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey, thanks for bringing me on. This is so fun.
Oh, it is so fun. It's just hanging out, talking about what God's doing in our lives and encouraging everyone to hop aboard the train. And so I want to really dive into this idea because I'm so passionate about women stepping into their power, because I see through everything you've done in your career, helping people build their business, everything you've done with writing, with speaking, all of the ways you've influenced people. I see you as being such a powerful force on helping women understand who God designed for them to be.
hmm Well, the thing is, for many women, especially women who grow up in the church, we are taught sometimes in a very clear way, sometimes in a subtle way, that a woman's role is to have children and pick up socks for someone else. Now, I'm all about having children. I have 5 boys of my own, but I think that God gave women individual plans just like he gave men individual plans, right?
Right.
And some of us, we are called to stay home with our kids, and that is the calling of our lives. We don't want to do anything else. I thought that was my call forever and ever. I was a stay home mom for 12 years. The only reason I moved into doing anything else is because we went through a season where we lost everything. My husband lost his job. We went through savings. We had a health crisis, and we lost our home. We lost everything except what would fit into 2 little mobile storage pods units. So for me, that was my time to go, okay, the Lord's calling me into a new season. And for everyone, maybe a woman's individual calling is to do great work in her career as an accountant or a teacher or a writer. And maybe it doesn't include a family.
Yeah.
But for so many women, when you're growing up to be pigeonholed saying, this is the best thing you can do, this is your place in the world, this is what you're going to do, just fit in this little model. That was never God's design. God's design for women is that we are strong. If you look in Genesis, the way that God describes a woman is azer kenegdo. Azer means to help. I think that word has been misused. Kenegdo is in opposition. And when you hear opposition, you're like, wait a minute, we were designed as women to be in opposition of men all the time. But if you think of a bike, they have 2 equal but opposite wheels. The one wheel is in opposition to the other. It's why the bike can balance and the bike can move. If a plank is up on its side, it's easy to fall over. But if another plank leans up against it, then it can be strengthened.
Yeah.
So women were created to solve an original problem. The original problem is it's not good for man to be alone. Mm-hmm. And our purpose is to be in opposition and equal and strong. Wow. And because we are in opposition, equally strong, 2 equal and opposite forces supporting each other, the unit is stronger.
Yeah.
And when I first heard that, it was at church. My pastor taught it, and I thought, why aren't women taught this from day one? But right. That phrase, azer, that's used for women, it's used 21 times in the Bible. 16 of those times it is used as a way to talk about God being a military defense for the people he loves. So it's not like this phrase is, yes, it's helping, but it's helping in a strong and powerful way. It's not helping by just picking up socks.
That's so cool. And I remember reading that also when Israel needed armies to come in and fight with them. Mm-hmm. So they would gain territory. It was used that way too. Yeah. So we have so much power, so much strength. And you're right. I think maybe, very subtly or not so subtly, it's been taught to us, like, know your place is here. Don't venture out of that. Right. And in some ways it's like, if you venture out of that, I've seen this too. I mean, tell me if you've seen this, then you're sacrificing something. Oh, yeah. And then we create that reality because we think, oh my gosh, I can't prosper in business and prosper as a mom, and I can't, or whatever the things you think you're balancing. If we believe we can't do it, then we're going to sabotage one or the other. Mm-hmm. And when the promise in Psalms and the promise in Deuteronomy is everything we put our hand to will prosper.
That's right.
Everything, not like
Right.
God's not category specific.
Mm-mm.
And so I'm always telling women, like, do you know what you're made of? Like, you're made in his image, a powerful force to be reckoned with. And so I love that you're like giving this really airtime, like you're because so much of it is shut down that you're like, no, that's not okay anymore.
Yeah,
It's
and the
time for women to
problem
realize who
is
they are.
the women who tend to preach the loudest on women's strength are women who do it from a secular perspective.
I know.
And we have the Christian women over here going, "Oh, that sounds nice." But the problem that I see that really drove me, really kind of made me angry, to discuss this in the book is this whole line of thinking that's you're the hero of your story. You pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You go for what you want. You don't apologize. You go get it.
Yeah.
You are the ultimate goal. You're your ultimate source of power and strength.
Wow.
And now I'm not against personal development. I love
Right.
personal development, but if personal development isn't based in our identity and our heart and our strength being in
Girl.
Jesus, it's a road of lies.
It is.
And the
It's
women
that,
who
it's that
preach it,
wide road that leads
yeah,
to destruction.
yeah, the women who preach it have just are preaching a future destruction to these women because I believe the fruit of that message is destruction. And we'll see it
Yeah.
in their lives and we'll see it in the lives of the people who believe that mess.
Now, when did that happen for you? When did you have that realization where you got a little bit of that
Um,
righteous anger coming up in you?
It's funny too because I love the Enneagram. I feel like the Enneagram can be a great tool for us to use. I'm an Enneagram 7, so
Me too,
I tend to
girl.
not be. Oh,
Party.
I love it. Yeah. So if something makes me angry, I really pay attention to it. And I think 2018, whenever I was on Instagram and I would see this sort of messaging, it would make me super angry to
Yeah.
go, this is it looks good.
Oh,
It
it
looks
feels
fun. It makes
good.
people feel good at first, but the fruit of that message is destruction.
It is. It's
Mhm.
always, and that's what, like, the enemy always, he can't come up with anything new,
Mm-mm.
right? Because God is the creator. So he takes what God creates and all he can do is twist it.
Yep.
Like the word for wicked means twisted. All he can do is twist it and pervert that truth and make us feel like, oh, this is right. This is good. This
Exactly.
feels strong. This feels empowering. And then all of a sudden we find ourselves weak and stripped of the power that God has given us through Jesus. And so I love that you're bringing this to light. I remember one time, I think you may be able to identify with this. One time I was struggling so bad, Alli. I know what you mean about like having everything stripped from you. We had nothing. We were so broke. And I remember on my knees, and it was kind of like, those, and I wouldn't say a prayer warrior, is more like desperation. I was like, God, please, like, give my husband a job, like give him, provide more money for him. And because we were so broke. And the Holy Spirit so clearly said, you do something about it. And I was like, wait a minute, like here I am with all the kids taking care of the house, but I didn't know it. He had a divine purpose for me to step into that power
Yep.
that he had already breathed into me. And it's scary, it's not what we can't do that scares us, it's what we can do through the empowerment of the Holy Spirit. And
Right.
when we understand we can take the limits off of that, sometimes that can be a little daunting to move into that territory.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because for most of us, we haven't been taught that we can,
Mm.
you know,
Tell me more
and
about that, girl. You just can't say that and leave it. Like, come on.
I mean, for one of the things that I fell in love with about the internet way back in the day, 2006, 2007, when I first started writing online, was that women could go on and learn anything we wanted to learn. We could build anything we wanted to build really inexpensively. Like we could learn how to put together a little website and start writing. And, and back then it wasn't products or services. Back
Right.
then you just put some ads on there and you get 5 cents a month and go, this is amazing.
Yeah,
I taught
yeah.
myself how to do this and I made a nickel. And I think there's been so many gatekeepers for women historically, telling
Mhm.
women what our role is, what we can do, what we're smart enough to do, what we're
Right.
not smart enough to do, where we've come from, what that allows us to do. But there's a lot of crazy things on the internet. There's a lot of bad things on the internet. But the
Yeah.
great thing about the internet is anyone can get on and go, I want to make the most of this. I want to learn something. I want to give this a try. And because there aren't any gatekeepers, I think we have at our generation of women and generations of women to come who are going to go, okay, I'm going to dig in here and see what the Lord has for me. Lord, guide my steps, guide my fingertips as I'm learning these things, and let's build together on what you want me to do. That excites me.
Oh man, that is exciting when you know there's so much opportunity, and then it almost becomes opportunity overload.
Yeah,
You
again.
know what I mean? I was like, all the world of possibilities. What do I do next? But that's where we just need clear guidance, and God will show us. He orders our steps and he will walk us through it. But I'd love to know, like, when you decided to write Standing Strong, and basically this is called A Woman's Guide to Overcoming Adversity and Living with Confidence. Love it. What do you want women to really come out of this with? Because when I hear women talk about they wish they had more confidence, it kind of breaks my heart, Alli, because confidence isn't a feeling. It doesn't come from, well, I'm going to sit around and when I feel confident, I'm going to move into that next level. But it's not a feeling. How do these women learn to step into their power, to step into that confidence?
It's a great question. And you're right. The thing about confidence is everyone tends to assume that it's something that's fixed within us. Like when we're born, we're going to be a certain height. We have a certain eye color, or, we have certain gifts or talents that's just naturally given to us. We either have it or we don't. It's fixed.
Right.
But confidence isn't necessarily something that we're born with. Confidence can be something that we grow over time, that we build over time. I like to think, when we're little girls, no one's going to say, I'm a great bike rider, because we don't know how to ride a bike. But you got to have a tricycle, and then you have to have training wheels, and then the training wheels fall off, and then you're on a grassy hill and someone pushes you down and you wreck and you skin your knee and you have some bumps and bruises. But before you know it, you're a bike rider. And then we're that little girl going, what do you know? I'm a great bike rider. It's that way with learning how to start a business, being a mom. We all start out going, I don't know how to be a mom, right? And then over time, we're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Yeah. All of these things we don't know how to do, but we can learn how to do it. And if we go, oh, I don't feel confident about this, I don't know how to do this, I'm not the kind of person that does that, but we don't give ourselves the room and the grace and the time period to be really bad at it for a while.
Oh, that's good.
We won't get good at it. I feel like if something is important to do, it's important enough to do badly until we know how to do it well.
Oh, that is so, girl, you could preach on that for like another 40 minutes, like at least, because it's true. We want to like start and be successful, and we get frustrated when we don't see the results that we think we should see.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure as you help women grow and build their platforms, whatever they want to do in their life and pursue, I'm sure you have to deal with that. Like it can't be good when you start out.
No, if it's important to you, if you want it to be great one day, you got to be bad for a while.
Yeah. And be okay with it.
Yeah.
That's why we can't despise the days of small beginnings. We have to love those days. And I remember one time a client was like, I'm just so frustrated because I'm just doing videos, but I'm not getting really any views. I'm like, be happy about that, because when you're doing things sloppy, it's okay that you're not having a lot of people.
You don't need everyone to see it at first.
You don't want that many people to see, like when you totally screw up. So that's okay. Like you're learning, and to be just so merciful with yourself in the process. I mean, God's mercy is new every morning, and we can like extend ourselves a little bit of mercy. And so whatever it is, like I'm talking to women right now who are, listening, watching this, whatever God's called you to do, whether it's stay at home with your kids, whether it's build a business from home, whether it's go out and do a career, like all the things, start a ministry, go on a mission field, whatever that is, just allow yourself the room to just show up,
Yeah, so good.
It's so important to do that. And also, I would love for you to speak on this. Sometimes things change. Like sometimes you're called to this and then you're called to this.
Yeah.
Things can evolve, and that's okay.
Well, the thing is, Every woman at one point in her life goes, I just need to figure out what my purpose is. And I feel like, here we go. Here's the answer to purpose. It's not a secret. It is, are you going to choose Jesus or not? Like, that's our purpose. We are on earth so we can figure out if we choose him or not. And if we choose him, we live for him. We tell other people about him. That's our purpose, period. But our calling is something that changes all the time. What we are called to do when we're in college looks different than what we're called to do as a young single adult. What we're called to do when we first get married or when we have kids or as the kids get older, the calling is different in every season. My calling right now as a 44-year-old woman looks different than what my calling will look like when I'm a 55-year-old woman or a 65-year-old woman. And the thing is, when we partner with God, when we figure out what God wants for us, we are able to go, okay, I'm open to whatever calling you have for me next. It's going to look different. But the thing about God is he always has new and better things for us to do. But we have this kind of modern mindset that calling equals career. And that if we don't know what it is in our 20s or early 30s, then we've just missed the bus and there's not another bus coming.
Wow.
But the Lord's like, you've got 90 years. I've got stuff for you to do. Let's go. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do professionally until I was about 30 years old.
Oh, sometimes I wake up and I don't know what I'm going to do. So, so that's okay. You know, and that's the beauty of being human is we can choose. Like, we get to decide.
Totally.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're always like, God, just, show up, do this for me, teach me. And sometimes I feel like God's saying, girl, I gave you wisdom. I gave you a mind, and I gave you longing and desire. And he gives us the freedom to choose. I remember one time I was struggling with this, like, I don't know whether to do this or this. And I remember my coach at the time said, what if either way you're blessed? I was like, wow, what a great, and we often think like, no, this is the right way and this is the wrong way. But as long as we're pursuing Jesus, it's all the right ways.
And I find the Lord is really vocal with me, not audibly, but vocal with me when I'm doing the wrong thing. So when we have two choices, to some degree, we need to go, whatever we do, do it for the glory of the Lord, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
It's both is going to be good. But if it's something he doesn't want me to do, he's going to make sure I know.
Oh yeah. He doesn't mess around.
Yeah. It's not like he's in heaven going, well, I was hoping she'd make the right choice, but I'm not going to let her know that's the wrong path. Like, he'll send messages.
Yeah. I mean, we do that with our kids. Nah, I don't think running with scissors is a great idea.
Like, it's not like we're watching them. Like, I really wish he wasn't playing with fire right now.
I really wish he wasn't. I really wish he put down that liner.
Yeah, we'll say something.
Yeah. And God's so good. We can just trust him.
Right.
Oh, I love this. I love this so much. So for women who are ready to take that bold move, what would be the first step? If they're like, I just feel like there's something more for me. What is the first thing that you would tell that woman to do?
I think the first thing I would want her to think about is monitor how she speaks to herself in her head all the time.
Good.
Because very often, once we start paying attention to that, like inner critic, that voice that we have in our head, we'll notice that we continually tell God no. Now, we don't always tell God no through our voice. Sometimes we do. Sometimes he gives us an idea and we're like, no, that's not me. I've made too many mistakes. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. All the things we say about ourselves. But sometimes we just tell God no with our actions. Because when he puts an idea in our hearts and he gives us, a vision or a clue or brings somebody to us to help us, we just don't do it.
Yeah.
So I think self-awareness is really key in this, to go, okay, I'm going to observe myself for a week and see, how am I telling God no with my heart and with my behavior? And then once we realize where we're holding ourselves back, we stop holding ourselves back and we can start kind of getting a clear vision for how God wants us to proceed forward.
Oh, that's so good. To just raise the level of awareness. Because sometimes it's like, I want to be there in my life. And what we're doing here will never take us there.
Right.
How we're talking to ourselves, how we're managing our lives, our surroundings, our thoughts, all of that. And we have to know, like, God works through a law of promotion. He doesn't like pick you up out of there and put you here. He's like, okay, how are you managing what you have? and now let's move into it. I was talking with a client earlier. I was like, you need to already believe that you're the person who's going to be living in that expectation that you have of yourself.
Right.
And I was sharing with her how when I was so broke, like my sheets had holes in them and I sewed them up because I couldn't afford to buy new sheets for my bed.
Yeah.
But I would make up that bed like it was for a queen, like, because that was how I had to see myself so that I could be faithful with the little, with the, sheets with holes in it, in order to be faithful with much. We want the much, but how are
Right.
we handling the little,
So good. Yep, exactly.
It's just, I just want people to understand that sometimes we get impatient, like we're waiting on God, but he's waiting on us to level up our game.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. One
100%.
thing, like before you leave, I want to ask you one more thing because I just feel this on my heart right now. I think some people who are listening or watching are in this right now, is they feel this desire for more. They want to step up and live more fully, live that abundant life that Jesus calls them to live, but they feel they don't have permission. What are your thoughts
That is a
about that?
great question. I think so much of that goes back to what we talked about before, where women feel like we're told what we can do or what we can't do.
Yeah.
And in a woman's life, there's only a couple of people she needs permission from. She needs permission from the Lord.
Yeah.
And she needs permission from herself.
Mm.
If she's married, she wants her husband to be on board with whatever it is she's doing. I mean, I talk about in Standing Strong. I'm the breadwinner for our family now, a family of 7, and I had to go to my husband and go, I think the Lord's telling me to quit, and I don't know what's next. It's a leap of faith, and even though the Lord was telling me that, I wasn't going to say, well, I got permission from the Lord. You may not want me to. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I waited until the Lord brought him along too.
Wow.
But at the core of it, it's between us and the Lord. It's when the Lord puts something on our heart to do. And what happens, we have permission, but what happens so often is we go, I have this idea, I have this dream, I have this vision, but I don't know if it's the Lord or if it's just me. And I think that too often Christian women need to not split hairs and try to figure out, well, is this just me? Because if it's a dream that's going to help other people, it's probably of the Lord. If your dream is to start a business in Vegas to help people gamble their life savings away, it's probably not of the Lord.
Maybe not.
It's not that hard to be like, oh, your dream is to go back to school or to be a health coach or to write a book or to build a garden. That helps people.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we're too hard on ourselves and go, well, this is just me, not the Lord. But if the Lord has given you this dream, if it's a dream that you've put on the shelf and then it just keeps bubbling up inside you, when you try to put it away, it keeps coming back, and you pray about it, it keeps coming back, you already have permission. So just give it a try. And that's one reason I love the internet so much, is for women who haven't felt like they have permission to try for things or to go for things. It's easy to open up that laptop and just start taking step by step, little step, until you feel comfortable and you're like, okay, permission granted. Here we go. I'm going to take the next step. And if every day we just take steps in that right direction, we're going to look back and go, what do you know? I am the type of woman that does that.
That is so good. Like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Just do the next thing, right?
Yeah, we don't have to know how it'll turn out, but we can be obedient to the vision and the dream that God's put in our heart, whether it's for our families or for our career, whatever it is. We don't need to know everything. We probably don't want to know everything.
No, so true.
Yeah, it's just one step at a time, and we're going to get there.
So good. Alli, you're like a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been so fun.
Oh, so well, I know people want more of this breath of fresh air. So where can they get more of you?
Yeah, my website and Instagram is Alli Worthington, Alli Worthington. My podcast is the Alli Worthington Show, and Standing Strong is available everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much, friend.
Thanks for having me.